a little bit. And Stu's like, I like it. I said, you're a deviant. We are going to deviate a little bit today. So
Good.
we have a cool topic we're going to go over. It's going to be amazing. Welcome, everybody, to the copyandcontent.ai report, where we talk about what we want to, and hopefully you'll be entertained at the same time.
Right. And learn something.
Absolutely. Learn something. We're like those, what was it, Schoolhouse Rock? You remember that from Saturday
Oh,
morning
yeah.
when we were little?
Classic.
Conjunction.
Still
What's
sing
your
those things.
function?
Still sing them.
Linking up words and something or other, man. It's
Yeah.
been
I
like
bought that whole CD set for my kids because they just quit playing them.
with the hooked on phonics.
Well, no, it's just they just quit playing them on Saturday morning shows because now you can watch cartoons any day of the week.
True.
So I just bought the whole CD set, and we just played them in the car
To harass the kids, like
yes.
mind virus for children. So I want to talk about something that is kind of on my mind a little bit, Stu. And it's a part of it is because of what's going on with North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. What is apparently getting ready to happen
Bad one coming.
in Florida? There's a bad one coming, and I'm these types of events you see bringing out the best and the worst in humanity. The best typically is outwardly focused, and the worst tends to be inwardly focused, as in, hey, what's in it for me exclusively.
Yeah, the best seems to be one-on-one interaction, and the worst seems to be social media and media.
Yeah, or I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And I want to talk for just a few minutes about being part of a team and what that really means, and having a team mindset, because it gets a lot of lip service. There's a lot of people that will tell you that they're part of a team, they're a team player, they're teamwork is important, and a whole bunch of other stuff that
I'm
actually
one of those people.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and then there's two schools talking about it, those that live it and those that are just talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a couple of examples of both.
Okay.
So one example of team is when Terry and I had to move, and Terry was really sick, and the team kicked in. And the team is family, but not all family.
Right.
Friends, but not all friends. But I'm going to conspicuously call out a few people: Michael and Susan, Nancy and Robert, Dexter, 110%. And then even my buddy C Ray, who came all the way from North Carolina to help me move. And I feel pretty confident if I'd have been in a real bad pickle and been like, Stu, I need you to come down and help me for a couple days, dude. You would have come.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that desperate.
No,
Thank you God.
I didn't even know it was an issue.
Right.
So yeah.
So, and that's part of communicating and stuff with team. But
yep.
On the flip side, there are the people who say, hey, if you ever need me, call me. And then if you need them and you call them, and all of a sudden they got every excuse under in the world. And so you find out who's really on your team, not by their words, but by their actions. And you look at the things happening in North Carolina, especially. You got two groups of people. You got the people sitting around saying, hey, we ought to do something. And then you got the people doing something and not sitting around. Good example, a guy in our town, Alan Farmer, put together a whole bunch of stuff, knew some people. I don't know if he had kin folks down there or not, but put together truckloads of stuff. Terry and I donated a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody's donating, putting stuff in. And driving it down there and trying to put it in the hands of the people that need it, not having it get kind of eaten up by the machine, that it might eventually get to people's hands. Though I do understand that now that the military's there, stuff is starting to change, because there's nothing like, you know, some bull-chested master sergeant screaming orders at people and getting people organized and stuff gets done.
That's true.
Um, and so I would love, since you have been a part of some elite teams, and I know that you talk about teamwork, teach teamwork, inculcate teamwork into young people through vigorous physical exercise.
Yes. Pain.
I love it. Pain.
You are going to be in more pain if you are not a good team player, or you can be in less pain if you are working
Right.
together as a team. That's the beauty of it.
For real, I would like for you to give us a quick master class on what a team is and how to be a real team player, not just a talker. I would love for you to give us a little master class on that, because I think it's more important than ever for what's going on in the world, what may be coming in the world, and just in general in life. I
Yeah.
would love to give you the stage and talk to us about what makes a great team and how to be a great team player.
Well, you got a couple different variations, and the teams that I'm trying to help build,
Mm-hmm.
especially like prior military, law enforcement, firefighters, those types of teams need to understand that everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and you use your strengths to help each other with their weakness, kind of balance out those weaknesses. Now, that does not mean in this particular team that you carry anybody. You are pushing them or you are pulling them, but you're not carrying them. Unless it's an injured man drill, and that's part of the drill, and you have to actually carry somebody. Right. So sometimes when I see perfectly good teams working together, I'll say, all right, biggest guy there, you are now injured. And how are you going to continue on this path, as a team, from getting from A to B? Now you guys got to work together and carry them. Right.
How do you push somebody or pull somebody without it turning into carrying? And let's like you could
Well,
do
I'll tell you right.
business or
Yeah.
otherwise.
Well, you got people under logs and boats. Some people are going to need a little bit more verbal pushing. Okay. They're going to need to hear that their actions right now are causing all of us more pain.
Okay.
Right. So by you not putting all your shoulder into that log or ducking your head, we are now feeling your weight as a team. And that has to be explained to them. It has to be well communicated, because there's bad ways to communicate it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The bad way, and unfortunately this happens too, is they are just pushed, they're kicked, they're pushed out of the boat. Just get out of the boat if you're not going to help us, right? And not even allowed back in, type of thing, right? There's that, as almost like by committee, you're pushing out the weak person. Don't recommend that, right? Especially in this world, you don't want to do that. You have to, when this evolution is done, take that person one-on-one, man on man, and say, here's what happened. You ducking your head is causing us more pain, and you have to communicate this to them. Your job now is to either get tougher and help out the team, or make a decision and help yourself out and not continue, with this class. Right. So you kind of give them that ultimatum of like, here's the two choices. You either help us out or you don't. and we're going to find a new guy to replace you, but we can't do that until you make that decision.
So is that where the term nut up or get out comes from?
Yeah, I mean that is part of it, but at the same time, there's a good ways. Teams do require leaders,
Right.
right? And if you're ruling by committee, almost like the Lord of the Flies version, that can go really bad quickly. And when you see that happening, you got to stop everybody and say,
Are
all
you
right, here's the deal. Here's how we're going to fix this. Listen to me. We will get there, type of thing. And one person be in charge. It's really easy in the military because you usually have one officer and everybody else is enlisted. It tends to work out a little bit better that way.
Mhm.
But when you have like a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians,
right?
It doesn't work well sometimes, and it's usually a little bit of both. So my advice, for building that team is, to find the guys that are willing to put up with a little bit of pain for the team versus causing more pain for everybody else. Now,
Okay.
in your situation that you were just talking about, there's a bigger difference, right? It's almost like the people who are strong assets can save themselves, can save others, are having to help others that can't help themselves.
Sure.
Right. So it's a little bit different situation in that, in that environment, depending on the situation, the structure of the team changes.
Okay.
Like we're willing to take on someone who needs help because we're able to help.
So for a situation rather than a lifetime.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is extreme circumstance. So exactly, as far as the guy who's the turd in the organization or in the group is eventually is going to have a talking to,
Yes.
and they need to be put in a position where they can decide they're either going to change their behavior and remain a part of the group, or they need to go seek greener pastures.
Yeah, and find another job,
Right.
or find another place in the organization where you might be helpful. Like
Right.
you have a certain strengths and weaknesses. It is kind of my job to be helpful in that transition wherever that person goes.
See, you're putting this in such a positive, nice way, and you should hear the things that are going on in my head as far as the
Oh yeah.
mean way that I would be telling people
Well,
that you're telling them to do this, and I'm like, see that? Don't let it hit you
yeah.
when you're on the way out.
Yeah. It just makes things easier when you can find a positive in some negatives.
Sure.
Because you're dealing with, like for me, you're dealing with someone who has the same dreams as I have, but maybe not had the same preparation and the same maybe even the same mental toughness to that matter. So there may be a choice that person needs to make, either to get tougher or maybe take another couple of years and come back and be stronger.
So that's interesting though, where we are in a situation. I want to talk about leadership here in just a second. But there are times when you're on the team by choice. Sometimes you're on the team by force.
Yeah.
Maybe not a force. A lot of people are part of the team at work in their job because if they don't have a job, their wife will leave them, they'll lose their house, their kids will, never talk to them, and all kinds of negatives. So there's
family, yes,
external forces and stuff. Other times you're forced to be on a team, like those group projects in high school. Remember those, when that one person didn't do anything but was riding, what do they call it,
Yes.
hanging on the boat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's and you're just, and everybody basically comes to the conclusion we're better off just to let them ride along. We got to get this done. That's
Yeah.
then you rat them out to the teacher. So,
And that's a temporary team, like you said.
but
If that was going to be a longer process team, like you would do whatever you could to either change that guy's attitude or get him out.
Okay, so beat him with a piece of soap wrapped in a towel in the middle of the night. But here's the thing, though. We're talking about choice versus force and being on a team and teams getting switched around. We can't choose sometimes the things that happen to us, but we can always choose how we react to everything that happens to us.
Absolutely.
So what is the mindset of a winner on a team, no matter what team they're on? Because you told me stories and I've read things about, just examples of, one team's really struggling at Buds, and then they switch out the leader, same exact team, switch the leader out, and all of a sudden that boat crew goes from 0 to the top. You got the guy or the guys that everybody wants to be with, those guys, because those guys are just great team members.
Yeah.
What makes a great team member no matter what team you're on?
I think whether it is the person leading the team or it is somebody's actions within the team that makes you realize that we can win this thing. Right. So I've always used the saying, you never think about quitting when you think about winning. Right. So I never think about this can't get done because we're going to win this thing. Right. So the thought of failing, the thought of the impossible, like this is not an impossible task that we're about to go try, right, is because we're going to win it. Right. So just that one little bit of attitude. And I remember saying this, look, guys, we're not going to get faster. We're not going to get stronger, in this hell week. But we can get tougher. Right. And we have to make it, but we can do it together, and we can have, in fact, that was my speech. It was like, let's make sure that we all make it through this hell week together. Right. And we all made it. And,
so something you just said, I've been listening, but tracking. Only once in the last 2 minutes did you use the word I, and it was only to say what you had said, not what you had done. Everything that you were framing and all of that was we versus I. We, a team player thinks in terms of we, not me.
Yes.
And that's a good one, right? There's no I in team, son, only me.
I like that.
But I don't remember what I said. We'll have to look at it. But I mean, that's you. Everything you said was we, us, how we're going to do this together. And having that attitude becomes infectious, just like having the pity pot, woe is me, what's in it for me attitude is infectious as well.
Oh, absolutely. Just little things like, oh man, this really sucks. I'm not sure if I can make it. You say that around 6 dudes that are, not trying or like trying to like crush this thing. Yeah. You'll either be kicked out or you'll start becoming the little virus inside their head. Right. And you're just going to start taking people down. And I tell you one thing, you know what also is infectious?
What?
Quitting. When you see one person quit, it like opens up the floodgates for others to follow.
Huh. Because you're not alone.
Right.
It's almost like you're joining the quitting team.
Right.
Oh, I can be on this team where we're getting our
Or
butts kicked, or I can be on the quitting team and we can all tell each other how it was rigged
yeah,
against us and that was
nice,
injured.
yeah. I can go get some donuts and coffee.
Which I heard that's a lie.
Yeah,
They say they got donuts and coffee, but
donuts
they
and
really
coffee in the
don't.
ambulance. They do not. Yeah, it's a lie.
Um, Leadership. I think
Mhm.
leadership is something that gets talked a lot about. And I've seen it in my own life where a leader who's been appointed, whether it's, in me, it's been in the corporate world and stuff like that, but the manager, the person who is in charge because someone usually not present hired them, appointed them, did whatever, versus the people who step up and just take a leadership role without having a title. And this
Sure.
might be role versus title as well. How do you step up and be a leader, even if it's not your job?
Um, you know, you can go multiple ways with that. I would say probably the easiest way to do it is just, you're going to be exposed to events, different events, things happening, people reacting certain way. But if you can react positively to something, that can change your team's mindset really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, you know, uh, somebody's not going to meet a deadline, that's okay. We can get it done. Not a problem. Let's figure out how to do it. Or it's, I won't ever forget getting wet again after being dry. Like we've been wet for like 4 days, right? And he didn't want to get wet again, but there's like this section there, they did a med check on us and we got to put on dry socks and dry pants and was in this heated tent. It's like he quit shaking. It's like, oh, this is so nice. I'm no longer cold anymore. And then like first thing we do right after this is like, okay, everybody hit the surf. And like everybody was looking at each other and it was like, oh man, like nobody in the entire class wanted to get wet. If there was a quitter, it was going to happen, but we didn't have any because I think one guy just goes, okay, boys, last one ends a rotten egg. And it just made us laugh. Just made us laugh. And we all got into it. And it was like, okay, it's over with. But, a lot of it is our own little anxiety of, things that are in front of us. But if we just have a different reaction to it, we can handle it a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's interesting that sometimes if you step up and take a leadership role, it can actually help you to overcome your own urge to quit
absolutely.
because it makes you responsible for others. And for some people, you'll do more to help others than you will to help yourself. It's not everybody is
Yeah.
that way, but I remember, and again, it's not comparing anything I've ever done to anything that you've done or anything like that. But I remember Susan and I did our first Go Ruck event, and that was one of those kicks in the cojones where you think you're ready for something, and then someone is watching you to say, oh, he's not hurting badly enough. Let's see what we can do to give him some individualized attention. So like, I don't know, 18 miles into this thing and ended up doing 26 miles or something. I was hurting bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had the money in my pocket to call a taxi. This is back really before Uber. And I realized in a flash, I said, the only way I'm going to make it through this is if I am helping other people.
Yep.
Because if I just stay right where I am right now, I'm going to quit. I'm going to be so focused on what hurts and what's not working and how I've, been humiliated and all this other stuff that I was blowing up in my own head. I knew I had to get outside of myself. And the way for me to do that was to step up and and help other people.
Well, one thing that you just mentioned there that you have two types of awareness. You have an internal awareness and you have external awareness. And when you're worried about other people, you can't have internal awareness. You tend to shut it off. And now you have this external awareness, worrying about everything else. And one thing that I'll be honest with you, going through training like I went through as the officer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was automatically in charge of the group. I mean, it was just highest ranking person, you're in charge. Um, so it was beneficial. It was beneficial to that point of like not thinking about myself, whereas you had to think about everybody else and use words like we and they, and not me and I, for sure.
Yeah. And it's interesting. One thing to draw a corollary to business on this: if you're only worried about how how much money you're gonna make, you're gonna be a really crappy teammate for
Oh,
everybody, including for your customers.
yeah.
Because if it's all just about you, but I look back over the last however many years, and when we've done the best, it's when I wasn't worried about the money at all. All I cared about was how do I create an opportunity for my customers, for my extended team? How do I create something that is just going to be amazingly beneficial for them and is going to teach them everything they need to know? And if they will just do the minimal thing that I have just reduced it down to, they can get outsized benefit big time. That's when we've had our wildest successes.
Agree.
And the ones that have always fallen flat were the ones like, if I did that, here's the mental pattern. I see somebody else doing something. I get a little bit green-eyed monster jealous of seeing them do it, going, "Oh, I could do that. That's bullshit that they're doing. I can do this." And then I do something for the wrong reasons, which is ego and competition.
Yeah.
And then it turns into this big thing that turns into a pain in the butt, not only for me, but for my team of Susan and Nancy and Kathy in the help desk and the other folks that we have working with us. It creates BS that Terry rides me about in the accounting office and all this. It just creates discord when that deciding factor is just because so and so is doing it, I have to do this. But whenever it's about serving the people and doing the right thing and leading them to where they want to go, invariably it is much smoother. There's always
Yes.
rough patches, but
Yeah.
because we're on purpose, we're on mission with it, it works out.
Yeah. I
So,
will, I will say this real quick, Jim, on that
uh-huh,
topic.
uh-huh.
When it is great to make money, right? You're into business to make money. So
I like it.
never feel bad about making money. But I will tell you what, it is never rewarding to the degree as getting an email from somebody telling me that, hey, they followed my plan for the last 8 months and just made it through their training. I'm doing my dream job now. Those things are, there's no money in the world worth that.
Yeah.
And that really gives you energy now to pour back into your business and help more people. And on the nice side, you also make money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Money is not the end result that we are seeking. It's kind of the scorecard for the value that we're putting into the universe. But it is one of the scores, not
Sure.
all of the score.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the mortgage business, your entire self-worth was based on your pipeline and your monthly commission check.
Sure.
You were an amazing human being if you had over $3 million in your pipeline. You were crap if you had less than 500,000. And that was it. Nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered.
Yep.
You were nothing but a number.
Mm.
So we're going to wrap this up, Stu, and then we're going to get on to we're going to transition into a topic
Okay.
related to this, and that is I want us to come up with 5 characteristics of a great leader and 5 characteristics of a great team player follower. Okay, so I'll start first with a leader. I think number one is they serve the people that a leader serves the people that they are called to follow.
Yes.
Okay, what's yours?
Um,
We haven't done this in a while. You know, the trade it back, the hot
yeah.
potato Jim and Stu
I
discussion.
I may need some help from the
He's
audience
going to
there.
Google. He's like,
No, I'm not. My hands are here. Um, let's
Robert's throwing
see.
in some good stuff.
Honest.
Okay, I like that.
Honest. Like you're not lying to anybody. You're just being. You give them the truth.
I think a great leader also takes responsibility in a lot of different ways. But the one right off the top, they take responsibility for figuring out a way to help the team get it done.
Yeah.
They don't blame other people.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself that ultimately I have to take responsibility for what everybody on the team does.
Yeah. I've always thought you have to care,
Okay,
right?
sure. Or you have to give a darn. You have to give a darn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to care about the individuals. You got to care about the team as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to care about the people. All right. So serves, honest, takes responsibility, cares about the team, communicates.
Yep.
That's a good one because whenever I've had, especially in the last year or two with all the changes and everything we've gone through, when I have not communicated, it has caused a real team problem. I have caused problems by thinking I told people stuff when I didn't, or not or not communicating effectively, or bringing people in the middle of a conversation, or making decisions that don't get communicated, and then people just start having to deal with consequences. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. Two sides of communication, though. You got to listen and speak.
True.
Listen and.
Can you over communicate as a leader? Can you?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can definitely kick a dead horse.
What about being a leader versus leading by committee, which basically means you're not a leader, you are just
a manager.
A manager. What's the difference there?
I mean, I guess it depends on the structure of what's going on, but it's not a bad thing to be a manager either. I mean, it's, sometimes, and I will tell you this, one thing that makes a good team is having a good follower that also communicates up and down, right? So
right.
Some of the best ideas I ever had wasn't from me. It was from the youngest guy in the platoon, who just thought differently than, the older guy, or thought differently from the lieutenant.
Right.
And we'd go with the youngest guy in the squad with the least experience, just because it sounded like a better idea. You know what? Damn, that's a good idea. Let's do it. So communication up and down has to occur. Otherwise, you're not really being led. And that's somewhere, in the management world too, whenever you're going by committee, there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes you need other people's opinions to form your own. Now, I think they have a responsibility to give you that opinion, but then it's your job to make the decision.
Right. And I think empowers is another one we could add to. A great leader actually empowers their team members.
Oh, yeah.
And again, when I empower people, and make sure that they have what they need to do it and then get out of their way, good stuff happens. When I'm the bottleneck, nothing happens.
Yeah. And when you empower them, you give a very important element to the follower, and that is initiative.
Yeah.
So initiative is one. I mean, both sides need initiative, but when you can empower people, the other people on the team can take initiative and, don't always need your approval.
Right.
To get things done. They actually are thinking, they're innovating.
I think one other thing I wrote up here was decisive. A leader has to be decisive. At some point you gotta make a decision. This, right. There's 100 different ways to get there. This is the way we're going, and we're going now.
Yeah.
So I wrote under follower, these aren't necessarily ranked in hierarchical order, but I put initiative, communicates. I stole those from you. But I think follower, somebody who actually, I'm going to change this from follower to just team member, because it's not, and I'm going to.
Yeah, I like that term better.
Team member, but able to follow and join in. In other words, you're on the team.
Yeah.
If you're a team member, you got to be on the team. You can't be that person that's like, okay, there's a 6 of us doing this, and you're always the person who has to have the last word. You're always the person who gets pissy if it's not done exactly your way. You get stinky if you're inconvenienced in the least bit. If everything isn't done to your satisfaction in the way you want it done in the time frame that suits you. We all know that person. Yeah. And the only person who doesn't know that person because they don't know themselves. So if it's like when I sat down at school, first day of college, they said, look left, look right. One of you is not going to graduate in 4 years. And I remember, thinking, I feel sorry for him. And I was the one who needed summer school. But anyway, if you don't know that person, you're that person, or you live alone. All right. What's another good thing for a team member?
Specialty skill.
Okay.
Because, the leader can't do everything, and there's going to be specialty skills spread throughout the team that actually make the whole team work.
There you go.
Right.
So know what your gift is and be good at it. Develop it.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. We got one more in here. We got anybody saying what would be good follower stuff?
You know what? I like criticism. I like followers or team members who could give constructive criticism.
Okay.
And it just keeps you honest, just like, okay, I could have done that better. Let's learn from a mistake. Let's learn from something that, not necessarily a failure, but you can learn from failures too, but just something that took too much time, cost too much money. We could do it a better way if we just, listen to this team member who had a better idea after the fact, even, or before the fact.
I understand. And I put constructive feedback rather than constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's good.
But what goes with constructive feedback for a leader has to be receptive.
Absolutely.
And that's,
once again, it's communication in the end, but yes.
But absolutely. Because again, some of the things your team's got to be able to feel like they can tell you the stuff that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And this
is what went wrong. This is who I'm dealing with. I need your help to deal with them because their boss isn't letting me even get near them.
Well, and that's something else. I think a great leader is also a protector.
Oh yeah.
Your team has to know that you will go to bat for them.
Oh yeah.
That if you have to go mama bear, papa bear on somebody for them, they have to know that you will do that. They also have to know that they can't come to you like the boy who cried wolf every single time, because if they know if they unleash the Kraken, at least here, it's going to be prairie fire burning all the way like Sherman to the sea. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you pull that string because it's an emergency, you have to know that the leader's going to come through, but the leader's got to know that the team's not going to pull that string unless it's necessary. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it the right way. I'm trying to, at our house, we have a saying, break glass in need of ass, and, I'm the guy behind the glass.
Another one too, just to even it out at 10, is accountable.
On the
So
leader.
yeah, you
Okay.
need to have accountability. Meaning, if something doesn't happen, you're not throwing your team under the bus. You say it's my fault.
Is that different or the same as
It's a little bit
responsibility?
different than responsibility. You have responsibility to your team, but you're accountable
Okay.
to your boss.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's how, yeah.
And ultimately you're accountable to in our case, in our businesses, our ultimate boss
Yeah, our
is
customer.
the customer.
Yep.
Is maybe not a customer, though it can be a customer, but it's customers in general. You can have a customer that you might have to fire because they're not being a good team member. Because if you're doing this right in your business has a team that's made up of your staff, team members, and your customer team members. And we're all a team working together. So if you have a customer who's not a good team member, you might have to fire them, just like you might have to fire a staff member that's not a good customer or a good team member. And here's the kicker though. If you're not a good leader, your customers can fire you as the leader by just leaving.
Absolutely.
So that's important to understand. Okay, so Stu.
Yes.
Have you ever written a book about leadership?
I have not.
I think you could.
Yeah, I guess you could, but
Dude, rewind. You're supposed to say, gee, Jim, never really thought about that, but I could see how that might actually be something cool. Not every Navy SEAL in the world's written a leadership book,
Yeah,
and I'm not really going to write a leadership book, Jim. And I do workout books, Jim. And so I'm not going to do a leadership book. I know, dude.
I stay in my lane, Jim.
You totally. Okay, here. So,
you know what, Jim?
I'm trying to serve the people, but to be honest with you, Stu, I have to take responsibility here because I didn't prep you for what was going on. And I care what you and the people think. I should communicate better in the future and empower you to be a part of the conversation. But I need to be decisive right now, though receptive to your feedback, that as a protector of the people, I need to make you accountable. So,
yes, perhaps this would make a good book, Jim.
However, I think that we could probably look at maybe there's a unique spin on this. And Stu, this being the copyandcontent.ai report, I wonder if there's a tool that might help us to come up with an effective spin on an idea for a book about leadership that wouldn't be just another, hey, I was a Navy SEAL, which not disparaging that in the least, but I wanted to write a book about leadership. Yes. Would you be interested in seeing such a tool and messing around with it?
Is there one? What tool is that? Is there a genie for that?
There's a genie for that. Oh my goodness. So in all seriousness though, I thought it'd be kind of fun. And I wanted to just have that conversation because it's been kind of bugging me lately, just seeing people not being team players on so many different levels, and maybe to reinforce to myself even what my own behavior should be. Because like I said, I think some things are coming and are already here where teamsmanship
Yeah.
is important.
Instead of posting up on social media, why don't you just make a phone call to somebody and say,
Yeah.
hey, let's fix this?
Yeah. Or how can I help somebody or what have you?
Yeah.
So, Stu, what we have here is the book idea topic title Brainstorm Genie, which can help you to come up with not only amazing topic ideas for a book, but also some titles based
Sweet.
on the four main types of nonfiction business books that you want to write.
Okay.
So, I think what would be fun would be this is an example of one we did the other day on a workshop. But I would like to just put in some, I'm not telling you to write this. I'm still waiting on my real-time workout book, dude. So, I mean, video. So
Yes.
I'm not expecting you to do this. All right. But I think it'd be fun to see if we got any kind of cool angles.
Okay.
Okay. So, my background is Naval Academy graduate, uh, Navy SEAL, certified strength and conditioning coach,
25-year entrepreneur.
25-year entrepreneur, specializing in workout books and fitness and tactical fitness training.
Yep.
Um, extensive knowledge
Team,
of
say team building.
team building and leadership. I was going to say, I was going to add the thing about all PT tests for government, firefighter, expert
Yeah. Yeah.
in PT tests or expert in
Entrance exam testing preparation for military, law enforcement, firefighting.
PT tests for special forces, military. What else? So, military,
Firefighters.
firefighter.
Yeah. Police.
Is firefighter two words or one?
Mm, two.
Okay. Um, what else? What would be some other stuff? I'm gonna put. I want ideas for books with unique angles for leadership
And team building.
and team building. Yeah, I can't spell leadership, but damn, we want some ideas for it. Um, my experience. Okay. Anything else? Anything else that would be kind of interesting? Well, you founder of Heroes of Tomorrow,
Yep.
which has trained over what? I don't even know. Trained thousands of
Yeah.
young people for military for service
Yeah.
to get ready for the physical challenges of service. Physical challenges of serving their country and community. Um, there was one other thing I was going to say that you did, and I'm having a brain fart. Um, Okay.
Hmm.
I'll think of it
Okay.
tomorrow. Okay. So let's have it come up with some cool ideas, and uh, let's do some mistakes titles. Um, God, I wish I could think about what it was. Okay. Teamwork breakdown, tactical leadership missteps, strengthening, avoiding leadership gap, fitness leadership trap, left behind, teamwork fails. Might change something else.
Let's go away from the failures and let's see what other options we have.
Okay, so let's do uh
Getting results,
we'll do a
or
frequently asked question. So where do we get the failures came from the mistakes book topic.
right, right.
But let's look at these. So a book about transforming leaders through tactical fitness training. That's interesting. Leadership lessons. And the thing is, if you want to be an
Yes.
amazing leader, you better be fit physically. And that doesn't matter whether it's in the business space, the military, tactical fitness stuff. I'm sorry.
It
I would not
helps.
go to a doctor who was wheezing and coming in from a smoke break. I'm sorry, especially if it was a pulmonologist.
Yeah.
A book about leading through adversity, lessons from the battlefield, a book about team synergy through shared physical challenges. That's a really good one too. I like that
Yeah.
because I do know, you having been to the Naval Academy and seen the way you're training those guys and you got to be dropping nuggets about leadership and teamwork and stuff on them all the time when y'all are working out.
Oh yeah, constantly.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that could go in a cool fitness book, which is what your lane is, but it has some extra little leadership lessons from a lifetime of physical fitness I like that.
Yeah.
A book about preparing for leadership roles through rigorous mental and physical training. Why do you think it is that 90% of the guys that you send to buds make it, as opposed to the average only 30% make it? Why do you have 3 times more guys succeeding than normal?
I mean, there is a level of physical preparation and training that goes beyond physical, and
They're physically
it requires you to mentally be tough to just show up some days.
they're physically fit, they're mentally tough, and they know how to lead themselves and others. That
Yes,
is what you teach these people to do.
that's very good.
And you're too modest about it.
Yeah.
But they're physically fit, they're mentally tough, and they know how to lead themselves and others.
Mm.
You cannot be mentally tough if you are physically weak.
Mm.
That doesn't mean you have to be able to do a gajillion pull-ups or other stuff like that, but you need to be as strong and physically fit as you are capable of being,
True.
because that makes you mentally tough. And if you are physically fit and mentally tough, then you can lead yourself and others.
Nice.
If you are not mentally fit and physically fit and mentally tough, you are incapable of leading yourself and others as effectively as you otherwise could. That is just the truth.
Nice. Very good, Jim.
That's a nice little book there, Stu.
Yeah. Yeah.
A book about preparing for leadership roles, a book about tactical fitness as a vehicle for fostering leadership traits. A book about cultivating leadership through military-style team exercises. A book about intersection of fitness and leadership for first responders and military personnel. I like it. A book about the power of mentorship and leadership development. A book about lessons in leadership learned from training elite performers.
Mm.
That's a good. So I think you could probably combine a few of these into different things.
No, I like that idea.
But leading from the front, proven team building strategies from Navy SEALs, tactical fitness, tactical leadership.
Mm.
Unleashing the power of team cohesion. I actually like that, tactical leadership.
Yeah, that's cool.
Strength and unity, the SEAL code, prepare to lead, rugged leadership, training warrior. Oh, I like that. Training warriors, building leaders.
Dang.
That, I'm going to tell you that right now. That one is
like
perfect for the back cover copy.
Damn,
That's the headline on the back of the book.
that's really good.
Tactical fitness for teams from boot camp to boardroom. Forge the future leaders, leadership under pressure, warrior's guide to team success. So, you say, some of those are actually really good ideas. You didn't say, hey, can you save that for me? But I'm going to save this for you.
No, please do.
But what I'm saying is that you have, so like all of us, I mean, you have a lot of good stuff in you, but you're like, I just do fitness books, Jim. Well, yeah, and I mean, dude, I would love to read a book by you on this topic. I'm just telling you.
Well,
I
thank you.
really would, because
You're being a very good leader, inspiring those who follow.
I am a terrible leader, because if I was a great leader, this morning I would have watched my real-time stretching with Stu video that I've been asking for a decade. But my point is, and those of you who saw that, we'll let you use it. We got a cool thing coming up. If you're not a member of copyandcontent.ai, you should be. We're gonna, next month in November, we're gonna do the 8-hour book sprint. You're going to go from 0 to a book done and published on Amazon as little as 8 hours of total work. I mean, literally, I'm going to show you, if you wanted to start on a Saturday morning, you could have your book published on Amazon by that evening.
Damn.
And so if you're not a member of copyandcontent.ai, you should be, because the first time we do that, we're going to, it's going to be included in the membership. So, but I'm just telling you for real, dude. It's one of the things, the reason why your stuff works is because it's not just about the physical. You're teaching people how to lead themselves, how to take responsibility for themselves, how to see them as more than just an individual, and to be a team player. You have taught me how to do that, how to be a better team player, how to not have a crap attitude about stuff, which I can do sometimes, and to step up and to have a good attitude, and all those things that you do. So I would just, I would encourage you that before they put you down for the dirt nap, you might think about all those intangibles that you obviously have been imparting to people for all these years. You might want to start capturing them, and I'll show you how to do that faster than what you're thinking. I'm gonna have to sit down and write another book, and I'm actually have to write a book.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm game. I'm game.
Tactical leadership nuggets. So anyway, all right. Well, that's all I got.
Oh man, great idea.
It's been good stuff. So again, appreciate y'all being here. If you're not a member of copyandcontent.ai, you should be. Go check it out. We do all kinds of fun stuff in there. And if you like this podcast, you will love the other stuff Stu and I do with Genie hacking and the master classes and all that other good stuff. So appreciate you, man. And we'll talk to you soon.
Great ideas.
Bye-bye, everybody.